Holy crap, guys, check it out. I got a copy of Sonic Frontiers a day early. Look at how awesome it looks. Oh my god! Haha, totally got you guys. This isn't Sonic Frontiers, you silly gooses. This is Sonic 3D Blast. Oh no. Yeah, so in honor of the fact that Sonic Frontiers is set to release tomorrow, I figured it would be appropriate to crack open a cold one with some Sonic Mega Collection and look back at the game that probably most closely resembles Sonic Frontiers, I guess? Yeah, I'm not sure where I'm going with this one. I mean, I guess it's kinda like Frontiers. You're running around these sizable open worlds, you're collecting stuff, it's in 3D, or at least it's trying to be.
Yes!
Yeah, this totally seems appropriate to talk about right before the launch of possibly the biggest Sonic game in history. God, why am I doing this? If you recall from my Sonic Mega Collection video, I did not have the greatest things to say about this particular title. Now, was it the absolute worst of the lot? God, no. That medal definitely belongs to Sonic Spinball. Or, wait, maybe it was Sonic Blast? Dear God, which game was worse? They were both so bad. So while Sonic 3D Blast may not have been the absolute worst Sonic game to exist, it may have been the most mediocre, which you could argue is an accomplishment in itself. To recap, it's 1996, and finally, Sonic is in 3D. At least isometrically. Sega, you dogs, you really tried to trick us with this pseudo 3D nonsense by copy-pasting a pre-rendered Sonic model onto a parallel projection of each stage. I see what you did. You ain't slick. Sonic's goal is of course to stop Eggman, and he must do so by destroying all the robots and saving all the captured Flickies. You save 5 Flickies and deposit them in your nearest local floating ring station, you get to advance. Right out the gate, Sonic 3D Blast is starting out strong, mainly because they kept things simple with the gameplay, as they should have. You cannot expect me to tolerate 7 whole stages of trying to platform with zero depth perception, that's just not happening. But yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Run around each map, collect the Flickies, make your deposit, and move on. How convenient it is that they wanted to make every stage as open as they possibly could. Could it be because they wanted to give you more space to run around as Sonic at top speeds? Or is it because Sonic controls like complete dog shit and they had to drastically overcompensate for it? Seriously, I said it before and I'll say it again. Sonic, you need to lay off the speed. I know you said before speed's your game, but I didn't think that meant you were addicted to amphetamines. Jesus. It is almost impossible to get anything done with Sonic controlling like he's on ice skates. Every little nudge of the control stick feels like a massive gamble, as it feels like it could send him flying off a cliff or straight into an enemy's grasp with how sensitive it is. My favorite part is definitely where Sega decided to make it worse by creating an ice stage, where 95% of the ground you walk on is literal ice. So pretty much the feeling of running on ice skates from before is exacerbated. And you just have to accept the fact that you're going to be spending half your time here bouncing off of walls, snowmen, and penguins. So another plus here is that because of the game's simplistic design, you can make it through each stage pretty quickly. I completed the game in just over 2 hours and didn't have to spend too much time on any one stage. The objective is always the same in every level, so as each one progresses you get a better feel for this game's open world playstyle pretty quickly. This adds up to a very respectable sense of pacing, which is ultimately this game's saving grace. It never feels like a slog to get through this campaign, it's just more so annoying because of Sonic's sensitive movements and the effect of the game's graphics on my depth perception. But even that stuff doesn't slow you down too much because, again, the objective is super simple and the same every level. So no matter how bad the controls are or how samey every map looks, you can almost always find the Flickies pretty easily. In order to collect the Flickies, you must kill Eggman's baddies first, and then they appear. But due to the absence of depth perception here, it is not recommended you attempt to jump on enemies, as that is just a massive crapshoot. Instead, you better be using the spin dash attack, as that will ensure a more accurate and less hazardous kill. The best part about the spin dash is that there are no bottomless pits to worry about, so you can basically do all the out-of-control spin dashing you want, and Sonic will never go flying into the void. Yay for Sonic.
They call me Sonic.
As is tradition, Sonic must fight a grandiose Eggman boss at the end of each stage. And in keeping with those same traditions, they are all a freaking joke. Each boss has extremely basic attack patterns that can be figured out by simply memorizing a routine, and the only thing that even makes them remotely challenging is, again, the lack of depth perception due to these bullshit 2.5D graphics. No, don't worry, you don't need to go out and have your eyes checked. That's not the problem here. I promise you, it's the game. There's one boss in particular towards the end that requires you to jump on these pipes before you can get a hit on him, but it is so impossible to see where Sonic is going to land each time you jump that it is honestly worth complaining on Reddit about. They should have really put up some kind of warning sign for players about the horrible graphics, kinda like they did in Sonic Adventure with the small child who flat out tells you that the game's camera system is f***ed up. That would have saved all of us a lot of trouble. One last thing I want to squeeze in here is the game's special stages. Maybe you've heard of them. We're all pretty familiar with the concept of a special stage in Sonic, but this time around, the way you unlock them is quite bizarre. So you'll just be meandering around the map, minding your own business, and then boom, suddenly, Knuckles. He's just standing there, coolin', rulin', and boolin', and then he just robs you of all your rings. What the f***, Knuckles? Whoa, wait, what's happening here? Holy crap. Okay, so I'm just gonna flat out say that I like these special stages. They're fun and super fast paced, and they don't overstay their welcome. Oh, and also, I'm a pro at them, biatch. I didn't die once when I played them. Although, I'd wager to say that's probably nothing to really brag about. Like the rest of the game, the lowdown of the special stages is simple, easy to figure out, and quick. You run along collecting as many rings as you can while also dodging obstacles and jumping over ledges. Each stage seemingly gives you so many rings to collect that it's actually pretty hard to screw it up. It's a fun pace breaker from the usual clunky gameplay of the main game, and it's just a shame that you have to go through a bit of trouble to unlock them. You have to collect 50 rings and give them to either Knuckles or Tails, who both are just kinda hanging around the map somewhere and you have to go find them. That's pretty much where the challenge lies here. Finding one of these jabronis. Well, I hope that was a worthy enough breakdown of the most mid-Sonic game of all time. I might have more to say if it weren't for the fact that there just really isn't much else to say. 3D Blast is just so simple and uninteresting in that regard that it's just not worth writing a whole essay on it. But I will say this, it is at the very least a quick and with that painless experience. The slippery controls and cornea zapping graphics are indeed quite bad, but they aren't bad enough to slow down the player to the point of absolute blood-boiling frustration. Did this game piss me off at times? Yes. Did it make me periodically question why am I doing this? Oh, cosmically, yes. But the game was so easy and so simplistic by design that not even all that bad stuff from before could stop me from completing the game in just a couple hours. A chimp could complete this game, that's how low stakes it is. A couple improvements I would make to steer this game at least in the direction of being good would be to add a mini-map of some kind, because with this crappy isometric view, it is basically impossible to keep track of where you're going, as you really can't see too far ahead of you, and with the lack of vision already being a huge problem in this game, a basic mini-map is definitely a necessity. Also, I would add just a couple more locations on each stage where you can unlock a special stage. I know what they were doing here. They were trying to encourage exploration by placing Knuckles and Tails in these random spots on the map so you could go find them, but with the game already not allowing you to see more than 5 feet in front of you at any given time, yeah, nobody's gonna really want to go out of their way to unlock the special stages when we are just trying to make it through the main game as is. Well, that about wraps it up for Sonic 3D Blast, the bastard child of Sonic Frontiers. I ain't got much else to say, so I'm just gonna mosey on out of here and, whoa, Knuckles, what are you doing here? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay, I'm leaving. I'll go. Suddenly, Knuckles. Suddenly, Knuckles. Suddenly, Knuckles.